So, guys, gals, welcome back to another episode of Doggie Stoic, one that I've been looking forward to for a few days here. And this is an episode where, like most episodes I come in, I want to get to know the guest. We're going to go back and forth. There's going to be things we agree on, disagree on. But this is an episode that I probably spend more time kind of just thinking about what value can I, as the interviewer, bring the audience, right? So unless you kind of live under a rock and you're in the dog training world and you are on social media, you've seen Robert Cabral's post about kind of like this phantom person who, the way that he said it, was a cancer to the dog training industry. So a lot of people are like, I know exactly who that is. Other people are like, dude, who are you talking about? And I didn't want to come in here as an interviewer and throw allegations at Dylan. I also didn't want to come here as an interviewer and say all of that is false. I wanted to come in as kind of a custodian of the audience and say, what questions do I still have outstanding? And hopefully in the next 90 minutes, you guys get answers. So the way that I framed this, so you guys know, and you'll be able to kind of skip through the episode, is one, like, how did this whole debate get started, right? How did this whole thing happen? I personally want to get to know Dylan's background. Maybe stuff you don't see on social media, because the fact is you don't see everything on social media. I want to know why you feel so compelled to spend your time. I think you have kids, you have a family, to spend your days arguing on social media, debating on social media. Usually that comes from some kind of purpose. And then I wanted to kick things off with this. And this might not be the easiest question, but do you regret any of the things that you've said or done on social media to this point?
So, it's like such a good question. I think that the fact that I haven't considered that means that the answer is no. Let's go with that one.
Deal. When you saw that allegation, right? Like, so the way I understand this entire debate is like, hey, I show work. I'm doing the best I can for the dogs. I have a repository of content on my Patreon, on my YouTube. One, for me to get better as a dog trainer, but two, to say, like, these are my methods. I get these behavior cases and I turn them around. And the way I understand how this whole thing started was you started getting like a ton of allegations of, hey, you're an abuser of dogs. What are you doing behind the scenes with these dogs? And then you were like, dude, none of the balanced community sticking up for me. Maybe I don't want them to, but like no one's sticking up for me. And the proof is in the pudding. I have evidence. And then you started to clap back. And you have a community of people that are like, dude, his work speaks for itself. Then you have a whole other side that have remained silent. Why did you even go on the attack in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, the way that you laid it out, it's actually like, I don't mean to sound surprised, but that's very accurate. So coming up in dog training, I unfortunately, well, for better or for worse, came up in a very much a very heavily internet era. Video game message boards, political message boards, all these types of communities and all that. And you sort of get accustomed to like how good and bad faith actors interact with each other and their broader communities. And something in dog training that struck me pretty quickly, and it to the point where it made me feel like I was insane. I saw this industry of people that are supposed to be, we all like, there's obviously like factions in terms of methodologies, but we all love dogs, and you've got the balance side, you've got the force free side, and they're in this conflict. But it seemed to me immediately that the good guys seem extremely and overtly concerned with social standing, if you will, and having friends. I would call into question the nature of the friendships. Social, like, they're more concerned with, am I going to get an invite to this banquet, instead of actually standing for something that they allege to believe. And the stakes in some fields in dog training are extremely high. So it seemed odd to me that, we're in a world, like, let's look at behavioral rehab, which is the place that I found myself, I'm like super, super passionate about it. You have people like you're talking about the standard of evidence, people that literally have just talked themselves into authority. Pet training is rife with this. It's super terrible, and we can talk about this, where people sort of just have been around for a really long time, and they're good at interacting with people, and they have nice language, and they sort of become deferred to as the moral arbiters and even like the gatekeepers of skill and knowledge in dog training. So from on the balance side, I saw that immediately. I'm like, man, like there's so much that people are silent, like you mentioned the silence, like where there's a level of hypocrisy where I see people talking about how much they love dogs, how much they care about the balanced cause, and people with the best positions, with the most the most influence, could clearly be making simple moves to actually defend their beliefs, and they don't. And I wonder where is everybody? And that was a question that Larry Crone, like I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably know who Larry Crone was. Larry Crone asked that question in a video a couple days ago, and I'm sure this situation's the reason why we're here. Let's be honest. But he asked that question: is like, where is everyone when people are doing horrible things to other trainers, completely unjustifiably, are doing horrible things to dogs, pushing horrible methods, spreading destructive, horrific lies, eroding the fabric of what is supposed to be this community, which is just a completely false charade of people pretending to be nice to each other, but at the drop of a hat will dive on each other with knives if there's any algorithm to be fed or social credit to be earned. He's wondering why is there so much silence? And I had wondered that for a really long time. I think that probably where how would you call it, opinions diverge on my approaches. I decided to put on a suicide vest and run into town and just blow myself up. So that's been my reaction. It's just been repeated, like respawn, run out, blow up, respawn. Like that's just. I think I'm on my fifth or sixth.
You have infinity respawns?
Right. Well, there's a glitch. There's an exploit, where if you don't care about if you know how to train dogs and you actually care about that, and you also are indifferent to community disavowal and shunning, like there's literally nothing. You just keep respawning. So I think I'm on my fifth or sixth career-ending event, and it looks like I'm going to survive another one, boys. But maybe next time we can go again.
I'll tell you guys. So I came into the dog industry about like 4.5 years ago, and I came from an industry of sports cars and collectibles. And it's an industry where people I heard this on a podcast, like monkeys throwing feces on each other is like kind of what the internet is. That entire industry was that. And I went to dogs because I actually was kind of over it. And
I was like, shit. That didn't work out.
Well, I did for 3.5 years. And I was just like the dogs are the proof, right? Like if your dogs are happy, if they could do cool things in and out of command, that's the proof, right? Like in sports cars and collectibles, there's not really any proof. It's like, hey, you're manipulating the market. No, you're manipulating the market. It just becomes this he said, she said thing. But I always thought dogs was so cool because it was like kind of the proof was in the pudding. And what I found so fascinating about Robert's video was, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think you've ever come after him. I don't think you've ever said anything about this dude that warranted, I think he said cancer. And then he's like, well, this guy took a course and he's only been doing it for 4.5 years. Dude, the guy, I was like, Dylan puts a lot of videos out to show his work, talk about the merit. And what do you think triggered him? Like, truthfully, behind the scenes, was it those friendships that were kind of putting pressure on him to say, dude, you got to make a video?
Well, very good question, Andrew. By the way, the screen names are fucking hilarious side by side. It's so fucking funny. Very good question, Andrew. So this isn't the first time that Uncle Bobby has made a video about me. Coincidentally, both times he has somehow fumbled the fingers and forgotten that a tag function exists. And he speaks of me as if I'm some sort of like Lord Voldemort, right? And he has some, and he does this for plausible deniability. He claims, I think people are telling me, oh, he just doesn't want to give you attention. But you know that people who know who he's talking about in the comments are just going to immediately say my name anyways. You actually, and this is just a lack of internet literacy, which his generation, you could say that, they're quite weathered. Their internet literacy is like through the floor. So when you create this mystique and intrigue around someone, it's actually causing the opposite effect. Like if you're going to go out and say something, just maybe that's like an our generation and younger thing. Like you would tag the person, anyways. I'm not going to claim that there needs to be some sort of standard of like journalistic integrity and online dog training shit posting, but this just seems like common sense. But he had made a video about me in the past, and it was similar in messaging, but not nearly as psychotic. Like not nearly as, like for this one, the mask hit the floor, exploded into a million pieces, and he just like lost it. But the first one, and it was a while ago, and I think I trolled a little bit, and I think that's when I started calling him Unc and Uncle Bobby. We've now transitioned into Porch Unky. That's where we're at. But Uncle Bobby also is very good. But dude, this video comes out. What has it been, like 2 days, 3 days or something?
Something like that.
Dude, I was sitting in my fucking Buzz Lightyear pajamas playing Diablo 4. All right. And my phone just starts blowing up. People are like, lol, Unc's mad at you again. I'm like, dude, what did I do? Like, what the fuck did I do this time? I'm pretty confident I know why. And again, he is very comfortable making some, we will call it creative assumptions about me. I'll do the same to him, except I think I have a more of a basis for my logic. I think that, and this speaks back to the larger community conversation, it has been my opinion that large numbers of the people that have become sort of like unelected judges and authorities in the dog training world are social parasites that are very effective at developing a false reputation, caring about the craft of training dogs, creating these rumors and oh man, he's like this great trainer, but you never actually see them train dogs. Or when you talk to someone that's seen them train dogs, they're like, yo, yikes, right? Unfortunately for Robert, he has made the mistake of putting his client dog training on the internet, and it is brutal, and we can get to that, but it's sort of besides the point here. But for a guy like Robert Cabral, who his entire identity and life he's been training, he claims like over 30 years of experience training dogs, which is scary. Like, dude, what have you been doing? That's as long as like we've been alive, dude. Like what the fuck have you been doing? If you're bad at the thing that you're known for, you have to create alternate avenues to stay relevant. So for Robert, even though he doesn't understand the internet at all, he is a creature of the internet. So for him, making a video about me was a social equation. It was as simple as that. And we can go into as much detail as you would like, but that's the sort of surface level. He's just a slop content creator, geezer lolcow that doesn't train dogs. Like that's who he is.
And do you think it's like a marketing play to like get subscriptions to whatever like training packages he gets by pandering to one side? You think it's that simple?
No, I'm sure that it's a mix of things, because there's certainly like this super reminiscent of like cringy virtue signaling behaviors that I feel like we used to see much more on the internet in his reactions about me or his statements about me. But it is all self-serving, whether it's financial, whether it's he gets some sort of emotional high off of people. Thank you for standing. Like that's just like that is certainly up for debate. But it is cringy nonetheless. I'll say that.
So I'll tell you guys the truth. So I went to Dylan's seminar, I think it was in August. And like
Yes.
This is a 3-day event, and probably less than 15, 30 minutes was about like a few content creators that really are driving behavioral euthanasia in shelters because of their kind of behavior and content. And the rest was just cases of like what you should do with problem behaviors and how you rehabilitate like over arousal, how you rehabilitate, which I think is the hardest dogs, are like Pongo, like
Pongo,
scared, who have no motivation, just want to run home. Like I think that's the scariest. And talking through cases. And at least I feel most of the industry, we love our dogs. Man, like I got a dog because I needed a friend, right? Like most people have dogs. That's like their best friend. Like I don't know how people live with dogs, but like these are your best friends. And like if you're going through stuff with your dog, you're looking to the internet for answers. That's how it works. So your 3-day event, it was focused, at least I felt, mostly on giving people answers to behavioral problems. It wasn't focused, like real life wasn't focused on attacking different people. But I do think like sometimes the internet, the way to cut through, the way to build an audience, Jay Jack called you the Conor McGregor effect. Like the way to really cut through in the internet, because there's so much noise, is to be a little bit loud, brash, arrogant, obnoxious. And like you said, you came up in the video game lobbies.
Yeah.
Like it's fair to say, like whether people agree or disagree, your way has been effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that because I still from time to time will get someone who'll be like, well, you know, your message is getting killed before it even gets out because of how you behave. And I'm like, dude, that's just not true.
What is your message? Like if gun to your head, like distill down, what would you say? Like all the other stuff aside, all the fluff aside, what would you say your message is?
People that claim to be dog professionals should care about getting better at treating dogs well. Like literally, that's like the industry is stagnated and people don't care in the way that they claim. And they use dog trainer and dog training as sort of this adjacent identity from which to prop up their own personality. So my whole stance is if you are involved in dog training specific to my field, you know, I try not to step outside of it. I'm very consistent. Pet training, behavioral rehabilitation, and I'm big on shelter dogs. There should be questions, scrutiny, improvement, debate backed by physical, tangible evidence. You would hearken to the dogs being the evidence, right? And it should be a meritocracy. It should be the best ideas rise. And if someone is going to be installed as an authority or treat themselves as an authority, they should be able to prove their worth. That is my entire, and I want to just like cap this off by saying, no one has ever said I'm wrong about that, which is interesting and I think also very bothersome to some people. But no one ever says any of that is wrong. But they are deeply upset by it deep down. Because meritocracy, when things have been based on, when standards have been set by follower count and who you're friends with and who you went to school with, meritocracy becomes horrifying. Because now it's like, oh, I have to show you, like you said, a better way. That is what I want. I want to usher in an era of evidence where you can't talk reality into existence. I want the question, why should I believe you, to be on the tip of everyone's tongue when they're talking about dog training. It's really as simple as that.
Specifically dog trainers, right? So like, let me take you guys through like my journey, man. I ask a lot of my guests, and I'm gonna ask Dylan this, like, do you think like some people are just naturals, like they could understand to communicate with dogs, and others like have to like really, really work at it? And everyone works at it to some capacity. I through good fortune, I've really understood how to teach a dog to be off leash. But I really struggled with the concept of punishment. So like I probably spent an entire, because punishment is defined as like stopping a dog's behavior. Like you want them to stop something. And I was struggling with that as like a junior trainer, a young trainer in the game. So I went to the internet. I was like, who's getting punishment? Like, let me see how they're showing it. And I've had a few guests on, and I've seen these yanking crank methods, right? And like the word correction came up a lot. And I remember doing correction. I was like, but corrections aren't stopping the dog, right? Because the dog just hitting the end of the leash. Maybe they'll look at you. Maybe they'll start sniffing the ground, but there's no, the behavior doesn't diminish. Like you don't fix the behavior. Yes, it's intense for the dog. The dog might let out a yelp. You might put it on a prong collar. It might even be a harder correction, but it doesn't stop behavior. And then I had Mark Goldberg on, and he talked about the yanking crank era, where like it was just a raising of intensity. And then I discovered when you get pulled over by a police officer, it's not one singular event. It's a whole event. It's a conversation with the dog. And punishment started to really, really, really make sense. And during that journey, I found Robert Cabral. I tried those methods where, the dog looks at the other dog, they're on the long line, they hit the end of the leash, they get a pretty good pop, they might turn to you, but they're going to go do it again. It wasn't a punishment. It was just negative reinforcement. And when I understood that, it's funny, those videos keep surfacing. I was like, man, there's levels to this game. And instead of spending all our times as young trainers arguing online, we should be honing our craft.
Yeah, I mean, you referenced the yank and crank era. Some of us are still living in it. Our buddy Uncle Bobby is a prime example of someone that it's astonishing that he's claiming 3 decades of experience. I'll put it this way, with the yank and crank stuff, because you could just go on his public video libraries on YouTube. The aggressive and reactive dog folder, by the way, is really atrocious. I haven't gotten to a lot of the other stuff yet. But if I saw someone, the way that I had put it was, say I had a friend that was just getting into dog training, and I see him 2 or 3 months down the line doing what Robert does to dogs, I would call him immediately and I would say, hey man, I mean this totally detached from any interpersonal, social conflict, whatever feelings. I need to teach you how to train dogs so you don't do this anymore. This is wrong. This is really, really bad. That's someone with 3 months of experience, let alone 3 decades. So there's an insane level of cognitive dissonance on that, where you've got a guy that, and he's sort of a stand-in for an entire phenomenon. It's just that he happened to fuck with me. But you could attribute this to, I'm sure, a bunch of different trainers. You've been doing this for so long, and you constantly, it seems like he constantly appeals to his age and his experience. It's yeah, but if you've spent 3 decades being retarded and lazy, I would rather work with someone that spent 3 years trying really hard and paying attention to the dogs and actively caring about the craft and basing their training identity on methods and accomplishments. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny you mentioned the yank and crank thing, because I will tell you, any Cabral guys that are watching this, I'm telling you, dude, just here's a thought experiment, Andrew, okay? For the audience. Go on his YouTube page. Do this to any trainer you like, actually. Fuck that, actually. Any trainer that you like. Go on their page if they happen to be one of the rare people that shows dogs. Say out loud to yourself, I don't know who this trainer is. Enter a Zen mind wipe state, like Men in Black, right? It's just ugh, and then watch 3 videos, whatever. And then at the end of it, pause. Was that good for the dogs? Was that good for the client? Did that make sense? I'm telling you, a lot of these heroes, judges, moral arbiters, cringy virtue signaling morons will shock you at how bad they are to dogs and how clumsy and fucked up they are.
Can you define that though? Because the dog's life is going to be subjective in the sense
yeah,
with you it might run off leash play all day, but with a grandma, she might need just really strict obedience where the dog is right by her side most of the time. So the environment the dog goes back to, whether we like it or not, you could have a really awesome dog, but it goes to an environment just not going to have a ton of freedom.
Yeah. So there are uniting principles here. And I think that if you understand these principles, and there's much more than I can describe. I'm not claiming to have the mysteries of the universe. But if you understand the matter of contingency, clear contingency, clarity, you understand how to interact with dogs on the emotional spectrum, and you acknowledge and utilize and tap into their social intelligence and all, their, give a sense of fulfillment. Suddenly, what you had mentioned where it's how do you evaluate the training across the board if the goals are different? Well, it's like, dude, if I see someone training a dog for, like you said, let's say it's a Saint Bernard and it's an old lady, and it's like, yo, man, we just can't risk having this dog bouncing around like that. He needs to be on a strict heel. That's cool, right? But if there were certain individuals training that dog, it's not about the prong pops that they would be giving. It's, do the prong pops make sense? Right? Clear contingency. Does the dog understand why this is happening to him? In a case of negative reinforcement, does he understand how to shut it off and to avoid it completely? So that's where, I'm training. There's no defense for, I'm just going to go smash the shit out of dogs for no reason. In a totally incoherent, non-contingent, almost like spiteful looking way. There's no, oh, well, he needs that because he's a tough dog. Dude, I'm telling you, I try to scrape the gutters for dogs, man. Like, that's my favorite. These are my favorite dogs. I'm not going out there doing that to them. There's no excuse. So, yeah, if I have a client with, a weak grip and they're half the body weight of their dog, I have a Pyrenees that I'm going to be likely working with that weighs like 180 pounds. Yeah, absolutely. Like there's a level of safety that has to happen with the obedience where it has to be super clean because the stakes are higher if there's a mistake with that dog. But that doesn't change the quality of the training. Like, it still has to make sense to the fucking dog. You know what I'm saying? That's where it's at. So yeah, that dog would live differently with me than he would with mom, but is the training good? That remains the same.
Can I ask you a tough question, man? Because
yeah,
I believe you were at the Jay, Jack, and Larry seminar. I think they mentioned that early in your training knowledge, you went to Larry and Jay.
Yep.
So my first virtual mentor was Stoney Dennis, who I don't know if he gets a lot of love in the industry, but he was great for me. Obstacle course and pack walks, adventure.
Oh, he's the guy with the setup in his on his property, right? Okay, yeah. Okay.
I describe him as the Bob Ross of dog training.
Okay, yeah.
But then Larry made a lot of sense to me within the house, like setting rules and establishing some rules in the house, which we could talk about because I've had a few TWC trainers. I think there's a little bit of differentiation there, and I'd love to personally get clarity on that. But Larry and Jay were your biggest supporters, and then they publicly, which I was surprised about, kind of came out against. They were like, "Hey, I unfollowed him on Facebook." A funny public.
I love how you cannot stop yourself from laughing because it's just like what the fuck is going on, dude? We're all like grown.
But real. Like they were mentors, and like you went to some, and they are like Jay. Yeah. Jay's 4 windows are amazing, and Jay's a good teacher. Yeah. Like in the seminar, man, he's a good teacher. What was your reaction to that? To seeing those comments?
Well, Uncle Bobby got up on his stoop and he gave the holy right. Everyone disavow, disconnect, which is crazy because there's sort of delusions of grandeur there where it's like this guy, like, dude, I train dogs by myself, dude. You know what I mean? Like, there's no someone quote unquote cutting ties with me. I'm trying to imagine how that could even be done. I literally am a one-man operation. I guess my cameraman could bail and that would suck, but I hope she doesn't. So yeah, with Larry and Jay, hey, I don't know. They didn't really announce their departure, but I think Larry probably felt like his hand was forced and he felt like he needed to say, yeah, I did unfriend, which is, again, dude, this is so gay. This is like MySpace top 8 when we were 11 years old. And it's like, Charlie, man, I had to move you down to 4. You know what I mean? Elizabeth came in with the package of honey buns yesterday. I had to make the choice. It's been tough. Charlie's been great to me, but that's just it's really ridiculous. However, there's a very important distinction to be made. They are talking about a very narrow slice that they are saying is disqualifying and they just don't want to interact with me, which is totally cool. Which is my language. That's an incredibly narrow logical slice. They've been very consistent, and I don't think they need to make effort to be consistent because they're just being honest. That's totally cool, dude. Larry and Jay, I wouldn't even blink to recommend dogs to them. I do, like you had mentioned, I do owe them a great debt. Larry's YouTube channel years and years ago was the only reason why I didn't quit training dogs. Because I saw someone talking about like, yo, dude, dogs are supposed to be fun. You know, go like run around outside with your dogs. That, and as insane as it sounds, back then with the environment that I was around with the people that were teaching me how to train, that's like, yo, you can be nice to dogs. That was permission for me to try to break the mold. Huge. Like that's a huge deal for me. And Jay is the one that told me to go to the Training Without Conflict Academy. And it's shocking to people, which is very funny. But in his own words, hopefully I'm not misquoting, we train methodologically like 99.9, like really like,
yeah.
He can see things that I'm doing. I'm not saying that things wouldn't be different, but methodologically, like at the high level, there's fundamentals happening. They could take different shapes and all of that. And none of that is void. You know, like that's all still, it's possible to think about multiple things at once. Do I think that there's hypocrisy in them suddenly having like a moral dilemma with me being mean to the worst people that exist in the industry? I think that is extremely hypocritical. I think that at some level they know it too, but they're in a really tough spot, and I don't envy them. Like especially Larry with the Cabral scenario. It's like, because you've also got personal relationships to manage, and I don't disparage anybody for doing what they have to do. And again, this is back to what I said about speculating. This isn't like a conversation I've had with these guys, but they speculate about me, which by the way is totally fair. And no harm, no foul. That's literally the nature of public discourse on the internet. So yeah, it's a totally reciprocal, to my knowledge, no hard feelings, just that I can't, there are some things that you've said that are totally disqualifying to have my support. Totally cool. I think it's funny, hypocritical, zero hard feelings. I think both of them are good guys, and I think they're fantastic dog trainers, and none of that changes. This is where the problem occurs. And sort of when I made my rambling about the state of the industry and the bad actors that are involved, someone like Robert Cabral, who has based his persona off of being this like badass, vaguely right-wing, balanced bra, like fuck the force, I use corrections, yeah. He is willing at the drop of a hat to evaporate every supposed belief about dog training and attempt to cannibalize another balanced trainer over me telling someone that they're gay or retarded or they should kill themselves. So Larry and Jay are saying, hey, there's dog training, then there's interpersonal communication. We are telling you we're not talking about the dog training right now. We are narrow slice, right? We don't like that he says this stuff. He said these things in the past. Cool. Robert is working backwards from that, where he's going, he's a meanie. By the way, this dude's like 60. He's a meanie. Therefore, he's behind the door, strangling dogs, starving dogs, beating dogs. Like that. So again, big time balanced badass guy that fuck it, I'll say anything to anyone, immediately becomes a sniveling, conniving, snake force-free advocate in a blink. Like just not even a second thought.
I'll say, granted, I don't have a huge following, so take this with a grain of like salt, but the code of ethics on the internet really astounds me, because like if you were to poll like 100 people, everyone would say they have a completely different code of ethics, right? So like I want to ask you, and like I know you probably don't like see how this ties in, but I really believe it. Like, so you said you grew up in video games. I grew up in sports. So I played soccer. And dude, if you go to that locker room, man, you'd have so many different personalities, right? Like you'd have some people you'd be like, what the? You can't say that out in public. Like,
Yeah.
some people are like, yeah, just like really nice, quiet guys. Some people, suck up the coach. Other people are just like the brashest, like the craziest jokes ever. And I've actually a few military guys on here. Like, I think they would say the same. Like, you have that collection of people, and like, but like the sarcastic jokes aren't the shock value jokes, the shock jock, like I can't believe you just said that. You knew that was like a joke because there was like tone and context to it, right? So anything like taken out of context with like the internet, because it's typically written, right? Or you don't have the full picture, you just get lost in all the noise. Yeah, you could be like, oh, whoa, hold. But like if you add context and layers to it, you're like, hey, like it's sarcasm. It's playful with a really dark undertone, but like the context is so important. And then we get really like virtue signaling, and then we say like, this is allowed, this isn't allowed. Like, as we're kind of the arbiters of what's allowed to be said on this crazy new, this is a 18, 20-year invention. We as humans don't even know how to handle it yet. I find that really interesting. Like one of my mottos that gives me a lot of peace of mind is I don't think the internet is real. Like, I really don't think it's real. The reason I created this podcast was to truly get to know people behind the scenes in long form. But like what you read on the internet, man, I try not to make judgments on it.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that we probably wouldn't find a lot of disagreement with anything you said, but I would say that you almost are taking it for dog training. You're taking it too deep, because it's almost impossible to know who actually believes what. Like, do I think that every single person that is claiming to be upset about my language is actually? No, dude. No. So there's social dynamics at play too. But it's just like with anything. If something's perceived as, hey, this is radioactive, I kind of need to just move with the social group. Yeah. And I don't, on a personal level, that's totally like, I totally am cool with that. The problem becomes when that ends up harming dogs by rotting the industry, stagnating the industry, cutting off information, dissuading people from showing their work. So I'll give you an example, dude. This is crazy. I don't think I've talked about this outside of a couple like comments that I've made. So I've got a show with a buddy, and we were having a conversation about seminars and workshops. And I had mentioned that, like, something like the shelter workshop, I thought, probably biased, I thought it went really well. But there are some subjects that just aren't, for a better word, workshoppable. Like if you were to take in, hey, we've got a 3-day seminar on fearful dogs. It's like, dude, what are you going to do? It might take 3 days to get that dog to fucking come out of his crate of his own will. Like, what are you going to do? Right. But my co-host, shout out Kimberly Weeks, K-Week, she made the mention that the seminar workshop format creates this sort of uniting area, safe area, a safe space, if you will, where conversations are given and taken and interacted with in an agreed upon agreed upon understanding that we're just toying around with ideas and we want to just get to the bottom of truth and how can we get, who's got the best ideas? Let's dissect this. Let's do a thought experiment. And everyone knows they can walk away from that being like, that was just a conversation, right?
Conversation about ideas, not people.
Right. So immediately I said, I agree with you. This makes a lot of sense. Imagine for a second if on the internet you were to try to run a hypothetical about how far you would go to save a dog's life. So we're literally talking about the hand of God is forcing you. Like you literally, like, just, it's a thought experiment, right? I'm making it, like, I'm laying it out pretty clearly. And I was like, yeah, man, if I had an aluminum baseball bat and God said you have to hit him with the bat to save his life, I would do it in a second. Like, that doesn't even, like, of course, dude, dying is game over. Dying is bad, right?
No reason.
Don't die. Yeah. Dying is gay. Don't do that. And then from there we go, okay, in what real world scenarios are dogs needlessly dying? A space that I am super, super passionate about is the shelter world, which if you've been there, you understand what's happening. Dogs literally being killed, like, for jumping on people and holding objects and biting sleeves and stuff, like crazy shit, right? And that's being done under the watch, largely sometimes due to force-free advocate behaviorists and trainers who are just like pieces of shit that have been allowed to just operate with no contest. I said, hypothetically, dogs would be better off in those scenarios where they're going to die. They would be better off if someone that came in, understood contingency, slapped him with a bat. Because he has a chance to go home. Because he's not going to fucking die. Right? And we laughed. Imagine having that conversation on the internet. Someone would clip it and say that you beat dogs in your training with bats. Andrew, wouldn't you know it? I'm pretty confident Robert Cabral believes that I beat dogs with baseball bats. Like, people in his comments are talking about how I beat dogs with baseball bats because I set up a thought experiment saying, imagine doing this on the internet. People would deliberately take it out of context and say that we hit dogs with bats. So that's where, when you had mentioned like beliefs and sensibilities, I think that's deliberate behavior done by dog trainers. I don't think that anyone actually is offended by the thought experiment. I think they see, here's something we can do to drum up attention and outrage and feel good about ourselves. But no one actually believes that, hopefully. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. It's like none of you actually believe anything that you're saying. You're just mad because it's like your pastime and it gets you some sort of social interaction.
So, Michael Shikashio, Denise Fenzi, Susan Garrett, but I'll start with this one because this one.
Those are my mentors.
Those are your mentors.
Yeah, those are my mentors.
The one, this crash out was crazy. I have to bring it up.
Yeah.
So did you see the post where they released the receipts where you said you're the best e-collar trainer in North America and you told Nick's Canine Training to put an e-collar behind the tail and one on the neck, and then if he looks at the dog, you stim him and you go up 5 levels. It shouldn't take more than 5
Hold the button down.
Yeah. That was the release receipt. So, like, I was really fascinated. Like, Robert didn't name you, but then they didn't even have receipts. And then when they released receipts, because I have receipts, I went back.
But you do the work, Andrew. You do the work.
But then when they released receipts, it was something that even in the screenshot was clearly sarcasm, the double e-collar, one behind the tail.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really don't want to give off the impression that I'm like a Reddit Machiavellian 6-dimensional water polo. Like, I'm not. There's some things that work out just because people are ridiculous, but this was one thing that I did very deliberately and I've been doing for some time. Here's an extremely funny phenomenon that people may know. It's unfortunate if you know what I'm talking about, but in the heart of every force-free advocate radical is this repressed, dumb investigative journalist. These people truly in their hearts believe that their life's mission is to crack the case and bring down the repressive regime. Like, they genuinely, in their minds, are like, it's main character syndrome on fucking HGH. It's crazy, right? So I was able to find this out. There was some pretty crazy social phenomenon that I encountered where before, like when I tried to be nice to people and I would get it thrown back in my face violently, literally 10 out of 10 times, 100 out of 100, 1,000, whatever. I had people literally feign civility and curiosity to get into conversations with me to try to get me to reveal my training secrets so that they could then report to the outside force-free world about what Dylan Jones' day-to-day dog training is actually doing to dogs. I had that happen a couple times where I never really, like, the conversations would end because I'm like, you're being fucking weird right now. Like, you're like probing, like they're so fucking alien that they don't understand how obvious it is. So what I decided to do when I entered my, I guess, unhinged era, I decided to start planting false information. I started just telling them things that I knew they're in combination so fucking ridiculous, but they are so desperate and so delusional that there's a chance they're going to believe this shit. There are some times, though, I will say I could not believe people were taking it fucking seriously. I was saying shit like, Dude, I took a video of a dog where I rested e-collars on each of his paws, and I put one like on his forehead, and I sent it to a guy, and the dude thought I was fucking serious, like dead serious. His name's Roman something. He's like this homeless magic guy. He's like has magic powers or whatever. He literally believed that I go out and I strap e-collars to dogs' entire bodies. Like it is so that when this type of thing happens and they blow, we have the file, like we have the day-to-day file, and they build it up and then they release it and it's like, yo, dude, like what? Dude, I one time I leaked that TWC revoked my certification. I said it to one person and then I just watched. I just sat and I watched. And suddenly it started popping up everywhere.
I'm glad you went to so you said before your this era, you try to be nice to people online. So
Yeah.
if you guys like, I'm not comparing Dylan to Charlie Munger, but if you stay with me, you'll get this. Like Charlie Munger has a quote. He says, "Invert, always invert." And the whole point of that is like kind of like look at the opposite case scenario. And I guarantee you guys, everyone who's listening has gotten some kind of negative comment on the internet at some point. And what I found, even if you have a small account, if you try to be nice to trolls, man, they're going to keep coming back for more.
Oh yeah.
They're going to keep coming back. And that kindness that in like face to face, you'd be like, dude, you know where I'm coming from with this. Like, here's what my thought process. They're going to see that as blood in the water, and they're sharks, and they're going to tell their friends. They're going to come back for more, and they're going to try. So you can't show weakness online. That is the lesson. And this is with 1,500 followers. So imagine if you're a big account and you try to be diplomatic and you're answering people and you're like, here's my thought process. They're just going to keep coming back for more because they don't want to hear it.
So the civil balance trainer dream is dead, in my opinion. I think it died a while ago, and we've kind of just been watching a corpse get dragged around. I do think that really good trainers and good guys, like I'll make mention to Larry and Jay, because it is rare to get my dog training recommendation, and they, off the top of my head, they're two that I would give. I think that they probably wanted, and a lot of people wanted rightfully to believe for a while, that just showing good methods and killing them with kindness would just make bad people stop doing bad things to trainers and to dogs. And it's just not true. You know what I'm saying? That has been just a total loss for however long. Like, why? How black pill do I want to get right now? Can I ask you a question though? Can we circle back just for a second?
Sure.
I never saw the day-to-day file. What was the claim that I was doing with e-collars? Because I don't know which of my stories made it, and who posted it.
Dude, Nick's Canine Training and Maligator Mama.
Okay.
I'm not I don't know much of her content, but dude, she killed him. But he went nuts yesterday. He had 41-minute stories. To which I asked myself, like, how do people even have time to train dogs?
Yeah.
But it was. I sent it to one of your TWC buddies. But it was a shock collar under the tail, a shock collar on the neck, and you go five rounds every time. It shouldn't take more than 5 sessions.
Yeah.
If it like, dude, and you opened it up with
jump by 20s.
Best e-collar trainer in North America.
Yeah.
If that's the first line, you know that's a joke. Like, how can you even be the best e-collar trainer? It's clearly sarcasm. It's clearly a joke. It's
right. There's no such thing as an e-collar trainer. There's no way, if it existed, there would be no way to know if there was such thing as an e-collar trainer. And I would always open one of these messages with a ridiculous, I'll be like, I'm going to give you my program right now. If you tell anybody, I will see you in court. Be like, if there are any screenshots. So I literally am telling them, don't do it, to make them think, oh my God. And dude, that's so insane. So please.
What were you like in high school? Were you a troublemaker?
No. I mean, I egged a house one time.
No, but like in school, like what was your, like, are you the quiet kid in class? Are you the jokester? Do you prank?
I always have been, I guess in a way, but not in a traditional sense. I think that really the like this type of behavior out of me does occur naturally, and it really started manifesting again like online. You know what I mean? I do deeply care about, and I've said this before, I do deeply care, seriously, actually, I would say like violently care about the cause of good dog training and wanting the community to be better, and also for the bad actors to be taken into account. But I will say that for the sport of it, yeah, fucking with really bad people in a way like that, like giving them false information and watching it pop up, is hilarious and extremely fun. And that type of thing has always been,
Well, I asked for a reason because, like,
yeah.
you don't strike me as like you're a thoughtful person. Like the stuff you come out with, it's thoughtful. You know, this industry is just going to be what it is. It's unregulated. Like I remember back to sports cards and collectibles, we would like point out clear market manipulation when someone with a big account would post a card and then they'd be selling those cards on eBay for a higher price. You'd be like, that's so wrong. It's unregulated. You could scream bloody murder. It's going to happen.
Right.
You know, this industry, for better or worse, is going to be the same as it's always been.
So I disagree.
Really?
And it's maybe maybe I'm huffing hopium, as the kids would say, but I really do. I think that there is a level of like learned helplessness that's been established on the balance side, where that sort of like doomer, we already lost, like it is what it is. I just won't accept that.
Lost what? Like they say they're going to come for our tools. Like they're not. No one's coming for your tools.
Well, no, I mean more so in terms of like industry standards in terms of training, right? And like what does it mean to be an effective, good dog trainer? Because I think that thought, like it literally is just who's friends with who, and it has been for a really long time. There's no other explanation that some of these people could be considered to be authorities in dog training, because if actual dog training would be involved, they'd be kicked out of the door in 5 seconds.
Bro, I think what's good dog training is if your clients are happy with your work. You've worked with different clients. Like some of like the least progress I made has been with clients that are really happy with just a little bit of progress. They're like, my dog doesn't lunge at other dogs. I don't even need my dog to be off leash. And
yeah, yeah, but you don't pretend to be the sole keeper of the mysteries and magic of the dog training universe that you've got just behind this curtain back here. And I'm going to tell all of you that I'm better and I have all of these mysteries and these magics. But if you demand that I prove it, I'm going to spurg out and lose my mind and launch a harassment campaign with 100,000 people after you. You're not doing that. So
if I buy an $800 phone consultation with, let's say, someone named Michael, and I get nothing out of it, I should tell people that there's nothing effective about it. Like that's what a free market is. And if I do get something out of it and he doesn't show his work, that's fine too though.
Michael, it's okay to be white.
Idiot.
It's okay to be white.
That was insane. That was top of your insane ones.
But like back to the state of the industry though, like what makes an effective dog trainer? That what you just explained is really bad for dogs, dude.
How?
Like Michael Shikashio or someone getting good reviews because they are nice to people.
Well, I didn't say that.
Well, that's what's happening though. That's literally what's happening. Like that's literally like, dude, I remember when I had no fucking idea what I was doing, I would still get good reviews. You know why? Because I was nice to the clients and they would feel bad about giving me a bad review. But it's like, I know that I didn't resolve your dog's issues for real. Maybe your dog has like a little bit of a better quality of life, but that shouldn't be the end of your development. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a good review. It's like, no, I need to try to get better because, man, it's just like nobody tries. And I don't want to say nobody, but I mean nobody in the sense that the people that genuinely are convinced that they are above scrutiny, that have legions of followers and all of that. Like, I would just ask, like, why do you think they have such bad reactions when you ask them for evidence of their claims? Why?
I think they step outside their bounds and they know like they're good at one area. Like I think a lot of them are good at like agility or maybe
Sure.
obedience training. But when you go and do behavior mod, which actually has nothing to do with obedience, like they don't know those aspects. Like I know, for example, I am terrible at obedience coaching, but I've always had a pretty good knack at behavior mod. Like I had a dog here that came from a shelter, Peggy Adams shelter, that just came in with like a bungee and a harness, super frustrated dog, but maybe one of the coolest dogs I've ever had. And simply by changing him from a bungee harness to a long line, teaching him recall, reinforcing it with an e-collar, that dog has changed its entire life. That dog is running with its family on a field in a field behind their house. They sent me a video yesterday. It's 1 weekend. Now, not all dogs are like that, but those are some of the best cases I've had. There's also challenging clients to work with. You know, like the dog is great, but the client is challenging. But I've always stayed focused on delivering results for the client, and I've never built my business online. I've never had to pander to an audience online.
There's no obligation to, by the way. And I want to be very specific about that too, because I've tried to be very consistent on this. If you just want to train dogs and like do a good job, dude, please, like you're probably on a personal level, probably better off. I'm going to give you a real world example. Okay. I saved the best examples for this show. Okay. I've actually talked about this one before, but of course it gets memory hold because the industry is the way that it is. But you had mentioned that you feel like people step out of their bounds, because I'm trying to really nail down what's wrong with like how dogs are harmed by the standards that are set right now. And I sort of want to relate it to just like everyone knowing that the standards are really bad, but not doing or saying anything about it, which is extremely frustrating and confusing for me. But anyways, so there's an extremely popular hula hoop trainer named Denise Fenzi. She actually has an insane amount of influence. She's extremely regarded, as like the darling of the force free side. Like she's elite, like just exquisite technique, super thoughtful, all this knowledge, and you just can't, like, of course, dude, she's that lady, you know, huge reputation. And I think someone had DM'd me this video, but the reason why I brought this up is you had made the comparison of like having a niche, like a thing that you're really good at, right? Like this is my lane, and sometimes people step outside of it, and that causes bad things to happen. So she is known as like a sporting force free, I think, agility, AKCOB, like that type of thing, right? Totally fine. Totally fine. You don't hear me talk about that because I don't do it and I don't care for it, but that doesn't mean that I think it's invalid or worse or anything. But someone alerted me to a video that she had posted. It was like a 25-30 minute video. The name was, "Is punishment a valid safety tool for behavioral issues?" Something like that, right? I'm like, hang on. Isn't this parking cone lady? This is going to be interesting. So let's listen. And I just want to re-up this. Dude, like she has around the world hundreds of thousands. Like she has her own academy, like crazy, like online subscription programs. She has insane outreach. She speaks to the IACP. I'm friends with balance trainers. Like she is like universally, people are listen to what she says. And this was the first of her videos that I had ever listened to. And you don't have to believe me. To my knowledge, the video is still on her page. And if it's not, I saved it on my computer for a rainy day. She goes on to say that punishment, positive punishment, is completely and utterly illogical to use to help a pet client and a pet dog with a reactivity issue. And the one that she used an example of is a dog that lunges at joggers. So are you ready for me to lay out her case? Like, I'm just going to tell you what she said. So I put it to memory because it's fucking crazy. Like, I cannot believe there's been no pushback except for me. Here it is. Her claim was that if you send your jogger reactive dog to a balanced board and train program, and they're going to try to use punishment and aversives to address the issue, she has no idea what punishment is, can't distinguish it between even just like aversives generally or negative reinforcement, literally has no idea. She makes the claim that your dog will be shocked with an electric collar either 100 or 500 times per training setup. I'm using her numbers, and she interchangeably kind of goes back and forth on those. And by the way, like, for the context, you can go to her video, but I'm telling you, she repeatedly says those. At first, I'm like, okay, she's blowing smoke. She's trying to make a big point. No. She literally is stating that every training setup that this balanced trainer takes your dog out to try to get him to stop lunging at joggers, he's going to get electric collar shocked 100 or 500 times to get him to stop doing that. For punishment to work, it takes 500 instances for that to work, okay? This is the greatest force-free mind in the world. She then says, but then you have another problem. The dog will associate that event to the person holding the leash. So now, if the trainer hands the leash to their friend, the dog's going to go lunge at joggers again because the condition of the trainer being there is gone. So now punishment doesn't work. Okay, how do you resolve that? In her words, let's say the balance trainer gets 10 of their friends to come shock the dog 100 or 500 times in training setups. I don't know how many thousands of electric shocks we've gotten now to get this dog, this retarded fucking dog. We've got the one dog in the world that needs fucking 10,000 shocks to even have it. Anyways, she then says, great, you've got the 10 people to shock the dog 100 or 500 times. But then if you change environment, you go walk to the other side of the street or something, or, to another town, the dog won't remember why he was punished. And he will have to go through another, say it with me, 100 or 500 electric shocks for the punishment to successfully suppress the behavior of lunging at joggers. I had to re-listen to these segments over and over and over again to make sure this was not parody. This is a lady who has this aura, as the children would say. She's the greatest. She's the ultimate professional, well-spoken, thoughtful, force-free advocate. And she holds hands with us, and she's our friend, and she's going to the ICP. She is telling dog owners that if you send a dog to a board and train with a balanced trainer, he's going to get shocked fucking 500,000 times. And she's saying that with a straight face as a fact claim. She's also saying this to her audience of uncritically thinking piggies that just devour everything that she says with no second thought, that are they're then going to look down the street at their competition, the balance trainer. They're going to be like, I can't believe that. Oh, that guy's going out to have that dog ride the lightning again today. Like that. The fact that she can say something like that, I mean, it gets worse. There's more. She says, she lays out that thesis. Therefore, the best and safest methods for addressing reactivity are staying at thresholds and rewarding with food for being calm. Andrew, it keeps going. It just keeps happening.
My problem with that is, now that I didn't know that video.
Yeah.
She commented on Robert's post, and they kind of had a little back and forth. But she doesn't realize that the videos that Robert put out with the corrections on the leash that you posted are the same to the dog as those hypothetical shocks where he had to correct the dog time and time and time.
We're just wailing on the fucking dog and nothing's happening. So thank you. Let's continue. All right. What do we know about Denise Fenzi? So I had people DMing me because I shared that video and I was like, this is fucking crazy. How is nobody talking about this? What the fuck is going on? It turns out that she had to rehome her own dog that she raised from a puppy in her home because she was afraid of him due to reactivity issues. So you've got a force-free advocate, obedience-only trainer that was afraid of her own puppy that she rehomed due to this issue, that she is now signal blasting out into the world to hundreds of thousands of people that she is a unique authority on this. Not only do I know the best methods, I know what those guys over there are doing. They're shocking your dog 500 times per setup. Back to the silence thing. I look in the comments and I'm like, nobody's going to say fucking anything to this? Think of the destruction that is wrought by that message, that one video alone, dude. And of course, I posted, I'm like, this is clinical insanity, right? Like, this is either deliberate lying or it's clinical insanity, and no one's saying anything. And the cognitive dissonance, dude, it's like, dude, I literally had people telling me, watching the video and then going, but she's an agility trainer, she doesn't talk about reactivity. In the video where she talks about reactivity, right? So it's just
for people wondering, by the way, like to give them a little value here, there's a great, because I want to ask you about Ivan actually in a second, but there's a great little, just like a minute clip on Michael Ellis's page where he talks about the benefit of conditioned punishers. And I got to tell you, there's very little content about conditioned punishers, but like they're a game changer. Like there needs to be more content, not from, Andrew, who's been doing this for 4 years, like the industry leaders, about conditioned punishers. And if you go to Michael Ellis's, I think, school or academy, talks about the concept of conditioned punishers, which you can do kind of like in your home with a crate, whatever, like conditioned punishers. It's really simple. I think you've done it once with like a dog eating poop. It could be a dog in the crate. You can tell it to wait. It comes out. You say no. Just in a low stakes environment, teaching the concept of what you're going to use later, it actually drops the intensity of the punishment and helps the dog understand what's going to happen with him. So I think the pushback there is just that she's wrong. Like,
so Andrew, let me stop you. Let me stop you for a second because I agree. Okay, everything you said, I agree. How long have you been involved in the dog training world?
Going on 4 years. 4 years.
4 years, right? You are publicly saying she's wrong, right?
I wouldn't say I'm saying the dog's behavior after trying X method.
No. You are saying she's wrong, and you're right. By the way, she is wrong. Your status and your time in the industry does not change objective reality. And would you agree with me that someone with that audience and that reputation spreading that message is destructive? That's extremely destructive, dude. Extremely destructive.
Is Ty Lopez destructive to young kids, telling them that they can work 4 hours a week? Like, if you get caught up in that and you don't have a bullshit radar, you deserve, dude, it's on you.
Think about a dog owner, dude. This isn't their job to vet psychopaths. Think about a dog owner that's getting their ass beat by their dog, just wants to walk their fucking dog, but he sees a car and he lunges and it's hurting and like my shoulder's cracking and fucking I'm creaking, it's like Rice Krispie treats, snap, crackle, pop. And maybe I'm not physically capable and now it's the roads are icy. And you're thinking, I'm going to go to someone that could help me, which anyone that has a functioning brain understands that aversives absolutely play a role in stopping bad behaviors. I'm going to go to a balanced trainer. But then that video pops up when you're doing research. Whoa, hang on. This lady has all of these online programs and this many followers, and everyone in the comments is applauding and saying she's great. And she's saying, I'm supposed to be in the distance giving food for calm. And if you were to go to a balanced trainer, he's going to shock my dog 500 times per session. So I'm just laying this out.
So dog owner, this is when I get an evaluation call. So like with this dog Gambit, I say, look, don't trust what I say. Don't trust my methods. Come here and meet me and meet my dogs. And let's put my dogs in similar situations. And you evaluate. One sec. I hear you. But you should call around your whole local community. And if you go to a force-free trainer and you're looking to solve reactivity with your dog, you should go to their facility and they should be able to show you dogs that they have that they rehabilitated from reactivity. Don't trust my words. Let the owner, let the client, like the facility of where you want to take your dog to solve the issue, let that be the evidence. So I don't think it's too much to ask for a dog owner to call 5 places, 1 balanced, 1 police dog trainer, 2 force free, 1 daycare, and go there, take the time, bring their dog, go without the dog, and say, show me your dogs that you've rehabilitated for the exact same issue. I think
two responses. To find the last reactive dog that Denise trained, you would have to find wherever she rehomed her own dog, because she gave up because she doesn't know how to rehabilitate reactivity, but she talks like she's an authority on the subject. Completely disqualifying, psychotic, fraudulent, destructive. Second thing, these people openly call into question the necessity of evidence. Like, that's what they do. They say, oh, I don't have time to record, or why would you ask me for dogs? I'm not going to put them in this situation. They are literally trying to say, just trust me is enough. And if you disagree, fuck you. It's not good enough, dude. It's not good enough.
The content creator, Denise Fenzi, I don't agree with her, but that's her perspective on life. That's why she created that piece of content. But the dog owners need to take responsibility too.
Dude, if we lived in a world like that, like in any other field where the stakes were high, like how long, if there were meteorologists trying to predict tornado patterns in the South, and there was a guy that popped up that was like, no, I know you guys are looking at weather charts and you're reading temperatures and historical patterns. Actually, I commune with the great spirit Jawa in my dreams after I do a zebra dance in front of my bed at night.
Are you referencing Roman again?
Yeah. This could be crazy Roman fanfic. But imagine that guy starts saying that. How long would he exist in the meteorologist community? He would be shown the door before he got to the door. They would be like, get the fuck out of here. We're not giving you the address to this. Like, that's insane. So I get that you have to do due diligence, and you don't want everything to be, no one should want everything to just be agree. But this is not questionable, dude. It is a clear example of a fraudulent huckster that has constructed this golden parachute escape where I can just say, I'm just an old lady that trains dogs in my backyard for obedience and shit, while just making these sweeping, psychotic, destructive, fraudulent claims. And no one ever pushes back because you're nice and you use good language. And then finally someone says, you know what, dude, this is insane. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, tell me what did you mean by this? Didn't you have to rehome your own dog for being reactive? The same problem you are claiming to have the mystery pill solution for, and you're trying to tell me and tell everyone else that when I take a reactive dog in, if you want to get personal, that I'm shocking them 500 times per program. All the while, Andrew, I can pull up links of me training reactive dogs all fucking day long. And when I say, show me, let's compare dogs and let's see who's right, everyone loses their minds. This is not good faith. This is not meritocracy. This is not a healthy industry that is conducive to the welfare of dogs, to the free-flowing exchange of information, to progress. This is stagnation, social parasitivism, and opportunistic freaks that think that they're beyond reproach and beyond question. And they've been allowed to go uncontested. So I want to circle it back, if you don't mind. I mean, this is your show. You can hit the brakes. This is where my point about the hypocrisy of the industry just becomes flagrant. It's like just obvious. So
it's well known that the IACP is like the big organization that supports balance. You're given the keynote next year. Right. What proposed changes would you have then?
Why are we tolerating destructive psychos? Why are we validating freaks that are lying for their own gain, that don't care about the dogs, that won't produce dogs? Why are we welcoming in Denise Fenzi, who gladly accused all of us of shocking dogs 500 times a session to get them to stop lunging at cars? But this is what I'm getting at, dude. We have to have everybody shut everything down we need to have a heart-to-heart about the community and about me shit posting, about strapping electric collars to dogs' eyeballs and calling people retarded, right? And Denise Fenzi, and I mean, I'm picking on her because she sucks, but like there's it's a dime a dozen. They're all like this. They are allowed to just uncontested destroy truth, just totally destroy it, and no one says a fucking word. Like that's. And by the way, this is like a more charitable example because it is revolving around dog training. This isn't even to say on the social side what people do to normal dog trainers. That is got. This is sort of more towards Larry's video where trainers get abused by large communities and no one for no reason, and no one lifts a finger, no one cares. That just can't stand. So I would say that it's a little bit of a moral quandary if you have a huge issue with me telling horrible people that they're mean and all these types of things, but you have no energy to stand up for the people that you call colleagues or to truly defend the things that you claim to believe and to truly defend the animals. That you can't. It's extremely hard to make that make sense to me. So that's
So
Dylan gets the.
I have three
Dylan,
notes there. I have
please.
spending money with wackos, i.e., Denise Fenzi. Like if they're clearly lying, don't subscribe to their stuff. Don't put your money there.
How are people gonna know that they're lying?
Well,
someone has to call it out.
Okay, so that was my second point. A dedicated shit posting day.
Well, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be shit posting. So that's the thing. You and I might think that's funny, and we probably do. But it doesn't have to be shit posting. Let's be real. Larry Cronin, Jay Jack, I'm using guys that I like and I have a lot of respect for. They left the job to a slack-jawed, shit-posting Neanderthal. They left it to me. What do you think I'm going to fucking do? You left the car door open with the keys in the ignition, and a baboon is wandering around the parking lot. What am I going to do, dude? This is what I'm saying. And I actually think that, again, they speculated a lot about me with some pretty nasty things. I don't take it personal, but this gives me, I think, some movement to make a claim on their behalf, actually. I think that they know I have a point about this. And I think that they know they stuck to the principled, balanced, fake dream for too long, and that we needed aggressive defenders, and there just weren't any, So I would be obsolete overnight if there were principled, balanced trainers who hopefully, maybe they would even be training dogs better than me, but no one shows dogs, whatever. But they can make this so-called principled, well-mannered case that I've heard so much about, but I've never seen. Never. Not a single time have I ever seen someone step up and be like, you know what? Fuck this. You don't get to say that with no question. Look at what this person's doing to dogs. Look at this person fucking dogpiling this trainer that's just like trying his best. And now his comment sections are full of death threats and people are trying to dox him. Why do you don't get to do that anymore with no refutation? Silence. You leave it to me, and the Halo 3 lobby behavior comes out. That is what has happened. That's the nature of it.
So my point number 3 was actually the Robert Cabrals should, if you're going to make a video about Dylan, you need to make a video to respond to that Denise video and say, look, I know a lot of trainers who happen to use e-collars who've successfully rehabilitated reactivity. And it wasn't 100 to 500 shocks, then call 10 friends, another 100 to 500 shocks, and then go around the corner and do it again. That's not how it works, Denise. I think respectfully, we're buddies at the ISCP, but stay in your lane. That's equally disingenuous.
Dude, I could cry right now. Do it. Somebody do it, right? Somebody do it, and I can just go back to just only training dogs and playing with my kids and playing video games like that. The only reason why is it's an empty open field. So Robert, but he's sort of an interesting example because he actually is a horrible advocate for balance training because he sucks. But yeah, I mean, dude, it would be really fun. Like I actually especially like with Jay, he's known as like the play guy. That's fucking sick. Being the play guy's got to be fucking sick. And there's a reason that is meritocracy. He's extremely good at playing with dogs. He's better than me at playing with dogs. But that is safe. That's safe, right?
He helped my boy Buddy a lot. So
which is a good thing. I mean, I'm not knocking it, but to be clear, it is safe to be the play guy. You know what I mean? So I get that there's comfort in not standing, but in that void, something else is going to happen. Particles are going to slam together and there's going to be a bang. And that is what I'm representing. It is what it is. But I have a better example, okay? Like I just have a better example. You said that, I think very reasonably, that it should be expected that a professional on the balance side should be able to, in a measured but non-compromising way, check nonsense. Hey, Denise, I'm going to DM you first too. Hey, we have each other's phone numbers. Let's hop on a call quick and clear this up, because I want to make a video response, but I want to make sure I'm getting every detail. I want to know what you truly believe. I don't want to attack a straw man. I don't want to catch you in a bad mood. Like, truly lay out what you mean by that, right? And she should not have a defensive reaction to that. Okay? We'll never know. But that doesn't happen. And we can actually get worse. Okay? Here's some lore. Everyone loves internet lore. But this is... Cabral sort of gift wrapped me the ultimate example of why I think things the way that things are currently are unacceptable, and my behavior is justified and validated. This is just, I'm going to weave a little bit of a tangled web of a story. These are facts. And these are things that just happen, and you can cross-check it with other players in this. Larry Crone, for example, who has a good reputation, who's a reputable source. He again, step away, disavowal, don't talk to, whatever. He has no reason to back up any lies that I tell right now. I'm being completely honest, and you can check with him. He actually talked about this the other day in his video. This is what just happened and why Robert Cabral is such a fraud. So this was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't know if you remember this. There was a viral video going around of a young German Shepherd. I think there may have been a dog fight, and a trainer was smacking the German Shepherd with some object. I don't actually know the exact detail on what it was, but the dog is getting smacked. It's a shitty video. You know what I mean? It's a shitty video. And actually, I had it confirmed. An arrest was made in this. Like, the trainer got fucking arrested. So this is a really shitty, intense situation with a dog being treated like shit. And it's popping off. The dog training world loves a good dog beating video, so everyone can get mad. And I get it, dude. Car accidents, all that. It's hard to look away. For me, I don't like looking at that type of shit. This is where it gets interesting. I'm gonna try not to get too deep into sort of like accessory details. There's a very unique individual that you are familiar with named Thinking Canine, who is, in my opinion, the worst actor that I've personally interacted with in the dog training behavior world. She's built in.
I don't think that's a hyperbole either. Like, that's...
Yeah. No, for real. No memes, no trolling. Like, her entire existence, platform, career was built off of the back of behaviorally euthanizing pit bulls in shelters and bullying dog trainers, like balance trainers.
Dogs in jail that get out for 30 minutes a day. It's almost sad.
Condemning them, setting them up to look bad, scaring everyone. Her current online platform, it reads like a anti-dog scare campaign. Like, she literally hates dogs and wants to freak people out about dogs. So she sees this video, and she also is kind of like a scum of the earth social media freak like Cabral. Like, that's their entire world, right? Because they don't train dogs. But at least Cabral's not out killing them. Like, I want to draw a serious distinction on that. He just treats them like shit and is a bad trainer. But this lady's actually like psychotic, and she's a force-free advocate, right? I studied with Susan Garrett. Okay, cool. She saw that video of that German Shepherd getting smacked around, right? Bad video. She decided, I'm going to go fuck with a balanced trainer right now. She goes back 8 or 9 years literally, in Larry Crone's YouTube videos. She finds a near decade-old video where Larry talks about introducing the concept of punishment to puppies. I think he even goes into like German Shepherds, Rottweilers, these like really powerful dogs.
Yeah.
This is just common sense, by the way, with anyone that, you know, raises dogs, trains dogs, especially with these super powerful driven dogs. You want to incorporate that concept of authority and punishment before they turn 1.5. And up until this point, all bets are off, have been off, and you're at the park, they lunge at a skateboard, you try to stop him, he turns around and attacks you. Like that is something that's on the table if you don't introduce those concepts early. Thinking Canine takes that old Larry video and splices it from the past 8-9 years, splices it to this trainer smacking this dog around with an object to make it look like Larry came out to defend the trainer smacking the dog. And she clicked post on that. Okay. Any questions so far? Like this is, I want to keep going, but like, are you like you probably were aware. You were aware of probably this happening, right?
She's trying to make a side-to-side comparison of, hey, Larry's a dog abuser. Look at this dog abuser. Like you put them next to each other in a room.
Yeah, but yes, but it's actually worse than that. I literally think she was trying to make people think this was in real time. Like I think she wanted people to assume there was no clarifying. Check out this video from Larry Crone 10 years ago. No. It was like, here's Larry Crone talking about, like, it's okay. She's a very effective pathological liar because she knows to omit enough details to let the audience fill in gaps. And she's a serious like freak. Did I lose you? Okay, we're still here. She's like a serious liar. So that video comes out, and I know like a pressing question in here is, oh, did I? We're still good.
I'm telling a puppy to stop chewing on his sleeve.
Cool. Here's a pressing question. Okay, it's like, well, maybe this is just some freak in the corner of the internet that no one listens to and doesn't have an outreach. So this person that made this video about Larry has near 500,000 combined followers across her platforms. It actually may be more than that. I don't know. But it's something like that, right? And she puts that video out there. There is one balanced trainer that made a post talking about it.
Was it you?
Yes. So the shunned one, the one that received the shunned edict from Bobby's porch.
Is that to go in line with what Larry just said the other day about like, where were all you guys?
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there, brother. Yep. So that happens, right? And I included those events in a post that I made about this lady being a force-free freak, pathological liar, psychopath, right? So mysteriously, not a finger was raised by a Mr. Porch Unky, Uncle Bob, Robert Cabral. Not a single word.
Who's friends with Larry?
That's some background. These guys are supposed to be really good friends, supposedly. And also, they're on the same side, both big defenders of balance training and promoting dogs. I know that's true with Larry because I've seen how he treats dogs. I know this is false with Robert because of these events and also how bad his training is. But supposedly we're on the same side. We defend, we're friends and totally silent. So one of the people that Uncle Bob was white knighting and defending the honor of in his video about me was Thinking Canine. So Robert Cabral rushed without even thinking. Actually, that's wrong. I think he did think about this calculation. Robert Cabral rushed to the defense of a shelter dog murdering, career bully, pathological lying psychopath that just weeks before dragged one of his good friends and a reputed balance trainer through broken glass because Dylan said mean things to her and sent her some raunchy memes. That was enough to motivate Uncle Bobby to call a huddle. Dylan's a cancer. He's dangerous. So this is how fucking stupid this guy is. I don't know if it's like mental faculty degradation over time, just age and everything, advancing age, or if he just is seriously this stupid naturally. Larry makes that video, which I think was a fair video. He has to do sort of like the lay the groundwork. I disavow Dylan, and I get it. I understand what he's doing. I understand the position he's in. It's a tough position. But what you had mentioned, Larry's big point was, where was everyone when that video came out about me? All of you that are so motivated to go nuts about Dylan, why you were totally silent when an actual force-free lunatic was trying to ruin my career. So Robert's too stupid to know that Larry was talking to him. That's who Larry was talking to. Even if Larry doesn't, like, at the front of his conscience know that's what he was doing. That's what he was doing.
Can I play devil's advocate for a sec?
Sure.
Like, if I'm thinking K9 social media manager, I think her play is I'm going to make so much content, it's almost impossible to go back and look through everything.
Flood the zone. Flood the zone. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to get this stuff to stick, and like inevitably it will resonate with the right group that dislikes this guy or this girl.
But suspiciously, that video vanished off the internet supposedly 1 or 2 days ago. Just very suspiciously. Totally, I'm sure. The one about Larry is gone. Yeah, maybe Zuckerberg's server had a malfunction. But this is the hypocrisy of, I'm picking on Robert Cabral because he's a cunt and a cowardly old man. But he's just like a perfect stand-in for this archetype. This is the hypocrisy. What do you care about? So apparently you don't care enough to defend one of your close friends. I don't really care about that angle because I'm a dog trainer and I don't give a fuck about making friends in this. Like, I'm just trying to train dogs and work with people that want to train dogs. But this was an opportunity to put your foot down and say, hey, yeah, Larry's my friend, but also this is how bad the force-free case is. They have to lie like this. No, we don't condone beating puppies. That's a fucking lie. Actually, I'm going to make a video with Larry talking about the concept of punishment with puppies to clear this bullshit up and defend the cause, defend the craft. Prime opportunity to run a stake through the heart of the force-free psychos. Like, this would be a blow with how much like influence that Robert has, completely unearned, by the way. But like, this would be a time if you're motivated by the dogs and by good methods and by helping trainers that are doing their best, this should be an instant win. Of course, I'm going to go rush to Larry's defense. I'm going to defend the concept of punishment. I'm going to defend raising puppies properly. And I'm going to stomp this lunatic. I would even go further. What else has this person been making video? Who else has she been attacking? Oh, wow. There's balanced trainers on here with 400 followers that she's just fucking brutalizing for no reason. I'm going to stand up for these people. Robert doesn't care. This is what Robert cares about. Okay? Robert's motivations. I have nothing really to gain defending Larry here, right? Because I'm going to be preaching to the choir. Everyone already, my following. But if I go defend this force-free advocate, I can virtue signal to the other side. Guys, I want to hold hands, guys. That's the calculation he's making in his head. There is no thought about dogs. There's no thought about standing up for the right thing. There's no thought about beliefs. This is a social equation for people like him. And he is known to be an elite balance trainer and leader. And he is a complete and utter fraudulent social parasite.
So I'm sitting here thinking, like, force-free dog owners, dog trainers that are converting to balanced. So a good quote is by Munger again. Is like, show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcomes. Like, here I could go make a $200K a year, $150K a year, whatever it is, but I have to train like 5-6 dogs a day. Or I have a following now. I have an online school and online education that if I hack the algorithm properly, I can just show cool things with my dog
Yeah, you don't have to train anymore. Yeah.
I don't have to train anymore, and I could teach training and probably make more with less effort.
100%.
So, show me the incentive. I'll show you the outcome. Do we even blame the humans, or is this like the change in business that has happened over the last 18, 20 years with the rise of internet and just selling education online in general?
Well, why not just disclose that then? Just be honest about it. Like,
well, I'm making these shit posting videos about Dylan to win followers and get you guys to my online school.
That's better than being a fraudulent, cowardly piece of shit that is betraying everything you claim to stand for and sending these horrible shockwaves of misinformation and horrible training downstream to new trainers that are trying to learn. That doesn't make any sense, dude. That's not devil's advocate. That's like Down syndrome advocate. Like, that's retarded as fuck. Like, that's actually brain dead retarded. So no, well, yes, you can follow the money as an explanation. And I do think what you just laid out, where it's like, dude, I can go out and try to get better at training dogs, and I can go out and do hard things, or I can waddle out to the porch, my coffee, and talk about structure again. And I can make a drama video and try to get, and sell. I don't know if he sells dog treats or so. Probably.
And if you need obedience, hey, here's my friend here. And if you need agility, here's my friend here. And if you need behavioral modification, here's this stuffed animal here.
But if you are going to be a product seller, stop calling yourself an authority on dog training. Stop saying that you have the power to Dylan's a cancer or you should have, dude, you stabbed your friend in the back and betrayed every sensibility and cause that you have claimed to have for over 30 years because you were trying to appeal to people that hate you so that you could get clicks. That's literally just what happened.
So let's wrap up with this. We all have contact forms on our website, right? So like where people input, like here's like before scheduling an evaluation, like here's a little about my dog.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten 5 dogs that have come through, and specifically in that contact form, they're like, hey, I've already been trained with either TWC trainer or TWC methods. And these dogs show up here. A good friend of mine, actually. I'm like, dude, you don't need training. Like these dogs are the best. Like if you use TWC methods with your puppy and that puppy looks at you, wants to play with you, has fun with you, like you're going to have a great dog. I'm saying that. Do you think Ivan has more of a responsibility in this state, not this state like Florida, like this industry, to put out more free content versus having a $15,000 certification course?
Did you get like an SOS from Bobby's porch or something?
Why? No, what? Wait, explain.
You're gonna let him off the hook on that, dude?
Oh, where did I let him off the hook?
I guess we did close the loop, but is there any, like, do you see where I'm at least coming from? Because I think that everything I said was just like completely and utterly fact.
But it's not for me to decide that. Why does it matter if I agree? The audience is going to agree. You made a compelling point.
Okay, cool. I'm cool with closing the loop on that. I was more trying to make a joke that you were bought. It was supposed to be funny. You got a smoke signal from the porch. Andrew, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
You better come correct. I'm a big boy.
Yeah. Well, dude, Cabral's jacked though. Like that's the thing he's got going for him. He's like in crazy shape. But yeah, in terms of like free content, Ivan's podcast represents an extraordinary amount that I will admit that I don't take full advantage of. I'm just not, as hilarious as it is, like I have a podcast and I'm on a podcast right now. I actually am not like a huge podcast enjoyer, but his podcast is like the value in terms of the guests that he has on and the conversations is like fucking crazy. But I will say it is very much geared more towards active dog trainers versus the wider dog owning public sphere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's more of a niche, but the value is insane. So yeah, and then in terms of like where to go if you want to see more like hands-on dog stuff, yeah, I mean, the school is a huge fucking investment, but you can get like the chase and catch video, the possession games video, the teaching the out video, dude, is fucking gold. And they usually bundle. I think they have a bundle for those videos.
They do.
And then if you're a sociopath, if you're a psychopath, and you want to spend the money, I'm telling you, it's the best. I mean, it's the best money I've ever spent in my entire life, for sure, to go to the school.
Who were you training with before?
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. I was watching YouTube videos. Like, again, dude, this is a huge motivation for me, why I get so disturbed by fake slop content creators. Dude, I used to be at their mercy. When I didn't know how to train, I mean, I don't think anyone really knows how to, you know what I'm saying? When I was like totally lost,
Sure.
I'm going on Robert Cabral's page to look for answers, because I'm like, yeah, the guy is wearing a dog training vest. He has all these followers. So like, I was doing piecemeal testing with just random, now I know, completely insane shit that I was finding on the internet. So when it comes to sort of like fraud checking things, back then I was totally unequipped to do that. And that's also why I believe your point about the dog owners, dude, they have no fucking idea. So yeah, for sure, asking for evidence is the ultimate solution to that. But dude, I was just making shit up, finding shit on the internet, being led down 7 different directions, just testing things. You know what I'm saying? And some things work
I think
out.
that's the majority of 22 to 40-year-old trainers. Like, a lot of them have gotten into this in the last 10 years, maybe even 5. Dude, they're piecemealing it. There's nothing wrong with that. To be self-taught and to make mistakes, we need to encourage more, not like these huge gargantuan mistakes of like destroying dogs, but like, I think if we ask, like, I'm not even going to talk about you, I'll talk about me. I want to be a better trainer every single year. And I look back 3-4 years ago, I'm like, that was the silliest shit I've ever done. Andrew, you don't need to use that intensity, and that it was completely unclear to that dog.
Yeah.
Like, so you want to improve. I mean, I think majority of this industry is people like that.
So this is another really good topic that we probably follow for like a year. But how do you broach that conversation with someone? You know what I'm saying? So like, if you
internet or in person,
either is valid, or over the phone.
I start with my own vulnerability and my own mistakes.
Like, this is where I was at, and this is what. Yeah. That's
actually interesting. I thought punishment was more intensity.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I did too. I think that, there's a lot of people that have been training dogs for like as long as we've been around, literally on Earth, that still believe that. But that's such an interesting. How do we reach out to each other in a diplomatic way without causing defense alarms to go off? Now, I'll give my pitch, a little bit of my pitch on this. I've been accused of having like bad reactions to people questioning my methods. It's not the concept of my methods being questioned, it's the source and the manner. So it all circles back to your initial point about showing like the validity of evidence as a concept. If someone that is an aggressive, blowhard, I know everything, you're bad, this is bad, and then I look behind them and it's just infographics and I would never use an e-collar virtue signaling post, you're a piece of shit. And that may be perceived as I'm being defensive and I don't trust my method. No, I'm actually just saying this is a totally useless encounter. There's nothing, that person's never going to benefit any of us in that interaction. If you can come to the table with, hey, did I see you with that dog? I had a dog very similar to that. And even if I'm not posting stuff, like the value of recording your stuff, even if you're not posting stuff, I actually have a couple sessions recorded with this dog of some shit that I was doing that I think could help you out greatly. That is a super interesting, for me, I'm like, dude, I got to see that tape. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
100%.
Like, I think that would be like a super intriguing way to broach that. I've literally never had that happen. Single fucking time.
Do you feel like TWC has created that like a community where everyone has stake and effort in the game? So there's already an element of trust built in.
Dude, it's so cool. Yeah. It's so fucking cool. Like, it's always, like when we get off, like there's videos and shit that I want to review from people, and being able to hop on a phone call with someone that you know is a source, but also you can fuck up in front of and not get fucking crucified.
Right.
Like that's sort of like the touching on the workshop environment a little bit. It's like I can send a video or someone can send a video to me knowing that I'm not going to zoom in and time alter and manipulate the audio and blow it up.
The ears are pinned back, or the stress signals.
Yeah.
Like you must have just hammered the dog. Like, no, I didn't.
Dude, that reminds me actually of something that happened to Larry that really fucking pissed me off. And I was actually like a little, I think that this may have influenced me more than I gave it credit. But someone like it's a pretty typical standard deal that when you go to someone's workshop, you don't record shit unless you're given permission.
Yeah.
If you have a working spot, people will typically be like, yeah, whatever. But like, that's just kind of the agreement. And typically it's in writing. You know what I'm saying? Someone, I'm sure a completely deranged lunatic, covertly recorded, did one of these guys. Again, they think they're investigative journalists, dude. They think that they're Edward Snowden smuggling hard drives out of the fucking, CIA building, whatever. And that person took that video of Larry totally out of context. You don't know the dog's situation. You don't know what the result was. You don't know, and blew it up and got a shitload of views on the internet, like TikTok and stuff, right? That is not meant to be constructive in terms of I have a different idea. And that's what this person was like. I can do it better. I can do it better. It's like, but you weren't concerned with that. You were concerned with trying to crush someone for attention.
Yeah, that is not. You've gone to a seminar. Dogs are stressed just being in that room.
Right, but like, you don't even. So that is just true. But you don't even need to go that far. It's like, dude, are you trying to help dogs get better, or are you using that as a costume so that you can pretend you're better than everyone and get people to fawn over you? Because that's called ego. It has nothing to do with dogs. But on the silence thing, I think Larry should have went on a fucking firestorm. I think it should have just been like wholesale destruction. I think he should have went nuts. Maybe not like me. Probably not like me. It shouldn't be like me. But making a hard stance about, you know what, dude, this is what I was doing with this fucking dog. Get fucked. Yeah, I do. And I don't even know what the fuck it was. I imagine, you have to imagine it was something with aversives. Oh my God, did you know that balance trainers use aversives? That's another thing, dude. And I could just keep going on and on. Obviously, I've been known to do it. The people being like, wow, like, did you see what this guy did to this dog? It's like, you mean I punished the dog? Yeah, that's not a buried lead here, dude. I'm a balance trainer. That's not, you didn't catch me in a gotcha. I'm literally posting me doing balance training techniques. Anyways, that is not, the community as it is not conducive to a free-flowing exchange of good faith information and progress, because it is a bunch of professional, well-mannered people sitting around a table holding up smiley face masks while they're all holding knives under the table. And they're waiting for someone to show any weakness so that they can be devoured.
Sure, the big community, but not the micro, like TWC. Michael,
no.
The micro communities within a community, but anything on the internet is like that. No,
I agree. That is a totally valid point. But it doesn't. I don't think it needs to be like that. Or if it does, it can be in such a diminished scale because we have the big guys coming out against it. No, dude, you don't get to fucking do that. What do you think the chances are that Cabral came out and said you shouldn't be fucking secretly recording trainers? He doesn't give a fuck. He has nothing to gain personally from that. Or any guys like that.
He should have said to his friend Denise, like, Denise, you can't be putting out that these people are shocking these dogs 1 to 500 times, then calling their friends to shock them again. Like, yes, we've established that there needs to be that level of accountability between the two parties, force-free and balanced.
I don't know why you have me doing Trump hands today, but like, yes. I mean, it's not intentional. But it's the broader community can be closer to like, I don't like that people have to have their own little, it's not secret clandestine operations, but like you should be able to post dog training without getting crucified. And like you said, making mistakes, but in good faith. Dude, I'm just trying. And yeah, I don't get it fucking right. Dude, I post shit where I'm like, yeah, that was bad. The position was wrong. I went too hard. I went too soft. I misread the emotions. Like, I post shit like that. And it's like, yeah, I can go back and I look at it. But the thought that someone posted something bad or a mistake, therefore I have to attribute all of these horrible qualities to them. Or in the case of recent events, you hear someone say some bad words to bad people, therefore he is killing dogs behind the scenes. That's total insanity, and that's not a constructive environment for people to get better for the dogs, which is ultimately what we should want.
Remember the dog Buddy? No, Lucky. That was at your seminar.
Yeah.
So they're only 2 hours north of me. And October was just like a slow month for the business. I don't know what happened. And I was just like, I was feeling another dog. And I love pitties. I don't know what it is about pitties that like to play.
And he's a cool dog. Yeah, he's a really cool
dog. So I was like to the girl, I was like, look, like try to find someone to adopt him. And if you can't, like, I'll take him. Man, I love this. I love pitties. So she calls me like a week later. And she's like, all right, like, hey, you could adopt him. Like, would my director be able to drive him down? I said, yeah, sure. Okay, so she's like, well, then she called me the next day. She's like, well, my director wants to take him for a week and see if he'll fit in with their family. And this is director of the shelter. And then if not, like, he'll bring him down. So I get a call a few days later, and they're like, we need to bring him to you ASAP. Like, he ran to the fence and barked at the kid's neighbor. And, like, we've had golden retrievers our whole life, and we just don't know how to deal with it. And I said, well, okay, like, do you want to bring him to me, or do you want me to just, like, kind of guide you through how I would address this? He's like, no, I want him to bring him to you. I'm going to bring him to you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning comes around, and he calls me. He's like, no, we've decided to keep him. We love him too much. And I was like, man, like, this is the director of the shelter. How fucked is this, man? Like, I don't want this dog, but I'll take him because I love shelter. Right. Like, it's just the time of my life. Like, you don't even want the advice. You're head of a shelter where there's mostly pitties. You're so lost, and you don't even want to do naturally what's the best for the dog. It was kind of discouraging.
Yeah.
You've worked, like, I don't really do much with shelters, but you've worked with shelters for a while. And what really tweaked me out, Dylan, was the thing you posted the other day about, like, the dog you said you would work with. You drive 5 hours.
Yeah.
To get that dog. It was like a resource dog, guarding dog, because it just didn't want to let go of a ball.
Yeah.
And they turned you down. And I was like, man, the audacity on that is kind of crazy. Like, you run a shelter, you should be in this for the best interest of the dog.
Yeah, I can there are details I can give. I have to omit some things because I've got some whistleblowers of my own, if you will. People that from within the situation that were able to confirm certain details for me. So, allegedly, the shelter knew that I would make their behavioral department look really bad.
I'm sure.
So they had this dog who literally the crime that he commits is that he holds a ball. They had him whisked off to their behavioral ward, lock and key. Certain people can handle him. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I have confirmation from the head of the behavioral department who I spoke to on the phone that he's never hurt anybody. He doesn't bite people. He's not aggressive. Well, I asked her, is he aggressive? And she said, well, a little bit. I said, how does that manifest? Like, what behaviors come from that? She says, sometimes he growls when he holds his toy. So that's the head of the behavioral department in a dog shelter, right? So they knew that I intended on showing people the dog running free and playing, and it would have been, in their opinion, too reputationally damaging to their increasingly force-free advocate behavioral department and training department should this dog that they've had locked up for almost 2 years, I think at this point, they've been treating him like he's a freak, like he's a monster. If that dog shows up in videos at a balance trainer's house playing with children and playing with other dogs in like a week, people may ask us questions about what the fuck we're doing to these dogs. that was their problem. So that dog will remain behind lock and key. As far as there's nothing I can do about the situation, it's totally a wash. But it is just, you use the word discouraging for your scenario, and it totally is. I would just add another word. It's disturbing too. Like seriously disturbing. And this is another one of those scenarios where there's not a lot of voices on the ballot side standing up and being like, dude, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is everyone just keeping their heads down and letting that go? That's not what I'm doing. Can I give you another example? I know that, we're running pretty late, but this is actually another example that just happened recently. So I had really gotten started with, I certified through TWC. I had a conversation with Ivan, who back then I didn't like, it's, teacher-student relationship, but I really was talking to him about shelters because he used to run the San Francisco SPCA during like the dogfighting era. So he's pulling fucking nasty fucking pit bulls that have been conditioned to like
90s, right? This was like 80s
brutal.
and 90s.
Yeah. Where they're fucking feeding him bovine steroids and shit and like doing crazy fucked up shit. So I had talked to him, and I came back home, and I was like, really like, dude, I want to get into shelters and just find out. Like, I've heard all of these horror stories about how it's a logistical nightmare and people don't care, and balance trainers are turned away, and dogs are treated like shit, and all these types of things. And I was like, fuck it, dude, I'm gonna go find out for myself. And I ended up working with, I got a phone call from someone that had been volunteering at a local shelter for almost a decade at this point, or it may have been over a decade actually. And they had talked about how they had some dogs that were going nuts in their kennels, and the trainer there, who's a force-free advocate, is afraid of the dogs. Can you come in? And I was like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. And I ended up working with them. And you heard the story about Harrison at the shelter and stuff like that, the shelter workshop. I ended up working with them for a bit over a year and really putting in a lot of time, learning so much. The experience in terms of being a trainer is fucking monumental. I said it at the workshop. I'll say it again. If you are just trying to drive up your dog training chops and like get reps, dude, go to shelters and just start fucking training. You see everything. The dogs want to do stuff. It's fucking awesome. But the shelter over time had slowly started to slide to the force-free situation. There were some saboteurs from within the shelter that from the day they met me and we shook hands, I could tell they hated me. And I was like, dude, what is your problem? And I find out later they're force-free advocates who had been behind the scenes doing social pressure campaigns, sending out mass emails, talking about how dangerous I am, how we need to have a policy against aversives. Dude, and by the way, I was going in with like flat collars and I was playing with the dogs. The force-free trainer there said dogs shouldn't be played with. It's going to cause them to become aggressive. All of these crazy batshit things, right? And I may just have to relocate quick. And this starts to come to a head, right? Where things are getting really bad. And there were dogs that were seriously struggling in their kennels. Like really struggling. I'm talking about stuff like chewing pieces of their tails off.
Yep.
Like grotesque stuff that literally getting chills right now. And there was one particular dog that was going nuts. Like I talked about him at the shelter workshop too, that was spinning in circles, going nuts in his kennel. And I stopped him with an electric collar. And it was like a really horrible situation. And that was actually a bridge too far for some of the people. I shouldn't say a lot, for a handful of people within the shelter, the force-free advocates. And it got to a point where they started hiding dogs from me. People were scowling at me. I started running into weird situations where people were like, oh yeah, that's like the dog abuser guy. Like I would just see weird things online. I'm like, dude, where's all this coming from? I'm literally just going into a shelter and fucking playing with dogs, dude. And eventually, it got to a point where people started asking me to hide, if I was going to use a prong collar, hide it under a scarf, and I can't fucking do that, dude. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to treat a valid training tool. Hang on, sorry.
Don't be like with the stopping. I would call it compulsive, but I call it dangerous or destructive or rude behavior with the collar in the crate. I've never understood like the need to like wait and let the dog be torturing himself for weeks or months on end. It's the greatest gift you can give. And I try to make people and my clients understand, because I've had a few of these. And one comes to mind, Mellow, this like little like border collie mix. I was like, look at the torment in his brain.
Yeah.
He's in pain. Yeah. And I'm not the one doing anything. Now I'm trying to free him with that, telling him, stop doing that. You're causing yourself emotional and literally chewing up your tail pain.
So that should be a pretty morally clear equation for anybody that cares about dogs.
It's not Dylan that's doing this. It has nothing to do with it. It's the dog is hurting themselves. Someone needs to step in and be a leader for this dog's life.
So that combined with the increasing tension with sort of like people hiding dogs and like dogs crushing themselves in kennels, and I caught wind that there were dogs going nuts that they were literally hiding from me. They didn't tell me about. They were just in their kennel suffering because they didn't want me to go stop them, like you said, with an electric collar, which is an act of mercy. I was like, fuck it, I'm cutting ties. I'm gonna go, right? I'm gonna go. And I fired up a now infamous Facebook Live. And I was like, yo, this is what's going on at the CNYS BCA. This is their head trainer, Donna Newman. She's a fat, grotesque cunt.
I'm glad you still had that same spirit back then.
Yeah, dungeon monstrosity. I think I made mention, I started hypothesizing whether or not if she fell on the road, if she would begin to roll. Yeah, like this is what their hands have wrought. This is what they're doing to these dogs. This is what they're allowing to happen. And while they're allowing those things to happen, while they're doing these things to these dogs, while they're stripping training tools away from the volunteers, while they're telling people not to play with the dogs, while they're having dogs put down for growling on the other side of fences 2 days after they were dropped off from animal control, that are scared for their lives, they're sending out mass emails about how dangerous Dylan and balanced trainers are. We don't want balanced trainers here. While they're doing this to these dogs, right? Fire up a stream. I use some foul language, yada, yada, whatever. And the dog training community was pretty solid. The response was pretty solid. There were some complaints about my language, which looking back are still super cringe. And like, I can't believe that I'm telling you stories about these dogs killing themselves and you're getting triggered that I called some fat cunt a fat cunt. But that same shelter, right? That same shelter. This is a year later, maybe a little bit more. There was a walkout protest a week ago by large swaths of their staff and their volunteers. They stood out on the street and they picketed and they protested until the entire board of directors resigned. So this place has been a shithole for like 30 years. A corrupt, awful shithole for like 3 decades. You can look up the history of the CNYS BCA, crazy fraud and crime and poor conditions for the dogs. But what I'm saying is being nice and just, guys, I think we should, was not fucking working. I think at some level, by me going nuts, I gave people permission to start getting upset about things. Hey guys, you can be mad that dogs are dying. You don't have to talk to dog killers like they're nice people. You don't have to assume that these completely illogical lunatic fringe psychos have good intentions all the time. Actually, they just like clearly don't. Like on its face, they don't. So that's a huge, I think, proof of concept, right? Do I think that I'm personally responsible for all of that happening? No, but I think that there is a sociological effect when you've got a group of people that know everything's wrong. It's learned helplessness. It's like, I'm just going to lay in this electricity. And then someone goes, no, dude, fuck it. We're going to kick the door open. Fuck it. Yeah, it's going to make some loud noise and people are going to get whatever, but fuck it, we're going to do it. I think that can give others permission to go about it maybe in a nicer way. So instead of firing up a live stream talking about C-bombs and F-bombs, we're going to go pick it out on the street and demand change. Cool. I would prefer that it's done that way. That's just not my way.
Where do you see, you're 33?
34.
34. Dylan at 45, where do you see, what do you see for yourself professionally?
Training dogs. Same exact stuff. Hopefully way better.
Do you have trainers working for you? Do you see yourself starting like an organization comparable to ISACP, or is it Dylan day-to-day dog training running a solo show?
Andrew,
Dream case scenario.
Andrew, look at the screen name, dude. How could I do any of that? All right.
Dude, things change in 10 years.
Everyone was commanded to cut ties by our Messiah.
Bro,
right.
Things change in like 2 days.
No, I'm joking. It's no one. It was all smoke and mirrors, but it doesn't. It's totally irrelevant. This is
Robert
sort of like
Cabral's biggest ally in that war was Nick's canine training, dude.
Yeah, who is a Well, yeah, we don't even need to. He's crazy. I actually think I broke a part of that guy's sanity. There's some lore behind him that's extremely funny. I harmed. Again, the proof of concept, the trolling caused the masks to drop, and here we are. I don't love it, but it's working, and yeah, it's exhausting, but here we are. No, I have no intentions whatsoever of ever partnering or, like having trainers. Like I always am going to be going hands-on training dogs. I wouldn't mind at some point, especially if I feel like things continue to change, I would say in a positive way in the industry. I would like to be able to take that energy that I'm using to like blow up on people and put that somewhere else when it's no longer necessary. And I think helping like training other trainers would be really cool. I think that would be sick. So maybe something along those lines. I also am totally open to do more workshops and things. I've got invites. People want me to go to the UK and things like that. I don't know what the fuck we would do, but if there's a compelling reason, I would do it. I just want to make sure people have something worth paying for me to give them. Yeah, I'm always going to be training dogs. This is another. I don't think I've ever talked about this either. I take serious issue with a lot of these like veteran trainer authority guys. Like, when's the last time like any of these people have actually taken like a behavioral case on? I don't want to become the old, out of touch, telling stories about the good old days guy. I go do speaking engagements. Like, dude, I'm going to be training fucking dogs. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't feel right for me to not be able to like, here's what I'm doing right now in training. You know what I'm saying? I'm also just like addicted to it. So yeah.
That's another episode.
Could go on and on about that. Yeah.
Next dog you're gonna get. Stop, bud.
I've got a Pyrenees coming in for 4 weeks, kind of doing like a hybrid program where I'm going to be doing follow-ups back at the house. It's nothing serious whatsoever. I just saw the opportunity to train a Pyrenees and I never have. So I was like, I'm going to go for it. They're also built for this weather, which is cool. But I've got a dog. I've got a really interesting dog being flown actually all the way from South Korea. I've been looking I wanted to do another round of like an extremely shut down dog. And the South Korean Canine Rescue, I'm boys with them. They have a base of operations in the city here in New York, but they also have a headquarters in South Korea. And I had talked to their director, and I was like, yeah, I mean, like my next case that I'm looking for is like a really scared of life, scared of human beings, shut down, miserable dog. And she was like, dude, we have a dog here that we're just like, he's been here for, I think he's been at the shelter now for like a year and a half, and they're taking great care of him, but they've hit a wall where basically they just coexist with him, but they're not making any more appreciable behavioral progress, if you know what I mean. Like, the dog doesn't think he's going to actively be killed, but he's not opening up and living a real life. Which is perfect. Like, well, not perfect. That's a clip right there. It's perfect that happened to him. No. So they're going to, one of their trainers is going to come hang out with me for a week, train dogs. And he's going to bring me this dog. His name's Mongoon, which is extremely fun to say. And I'm already thinking of calling him Goon Squad. But that's going to be like my long-term, I could have him for months and months. I have no end date in mind, but that's going to be like a serious, I think, brutally challenging, but really cool opportunity. Because I'm always fishing for weird, challenging dogs, you know.
What's the next dog you're going to get? I know
personally,
you have Harrison, you have Scout. You're never getting a Malinois. What are you going to get?
Yeah. Well, I've got an old lab too. She's 12. Her name's Ripley. When her time comes, am I going to want to jump right back to 3 dogs immediately? I'm not sure, actually. I wouldn't mind getting a small dog, but the thing is, dude, I live on a lake and we have birds of prey. So I'm kind of like paranoid about that shit, dude. Like if you get a small enough Chihuahua, like we have bald eagles and shit out here.
But like
you know
a
what I mean?
25-pound, no way that the bird's going to grab a 25.
Yeah, so maybe I could do like a French bulldog or something. That'd be funny.
That'd be crazy, dude.
So who knows? Find out.
Dude, I appreciate you. The audience appreciates you. We try to get this as informative, as opinionated as possible for you guys. You got a chance to know kind of what Dylan was like in high school, what kicked off this whole thing, his opinions on the industry, his opinions on why just being outspoken with no evidence and attacking people is bad for the industry. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much, Dylan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.